Good evening. The regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Spring Independent School District is officially called to order on Tuesday, December 12th. The time now is 7:02. Board trustees present are Winford Adams Jr., Chris Bell, Deborah Jensen, Justine Durant, Donald Davis, and myself, Jana Gonzalez. I would like to ask everyone to turn off or silence their cell phones or electronic devices. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to recognize Trustee Don Davis to introduce tonight's presentation of colors.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Tonight's presentation of colors will be led by the Westfield Mustang Army JROTC Battalion under command of Battalion Executive Officer Walker Blakely. United States and the Texas Pledge will be led by Cadet Private Eleanor Bailey. The Westfield Mustang Battalion attended New Caney, Pawnee Woods drill meet this past month, where they placed first place in the male color guard competition, third place both in academics and the officer course. Cadet Private Pickett won first place in the female flex arm hang. If they need a round of applause for that, that's a tough competition. So I say congratulations. The color guard commander carrying the American flag is Cadet Second Lieutenant Walker Blakely. Carrying the Texas flag, Cadet Private, Perez. I'm having trouble with that first name. Cadet Private Perez. U.S. color guard is First Class Albert Sellers. Excuse me, they made a change. Cadet Sergeant Major Faith Jones. Okay, the honor guard is commanded by Private Rahul Benavides. Team members consist of Gene Charles, Cadet Private George O'Connell, Cadet Private Tim Beckler. United States honor guard is under instruction of Major Charles R. Thomas. Okay, First Sergeant Carlos Jackson and Sergeant First Class Warner Fields. At this time, everyone please rise. Once the pledge are completed, please remain standing until the color guard have marched off. Thank you very much.
Color guard. Aye.
Please remain standing. At this time, I ask those present, please quietly observe a moment of silence in your own way. Thank you. You may now be seated. Our next item is the superintendent's remarks. At this time, I would like to recognize our superintendent of schools, Rodney Watson.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez and other trustees. We're excited to be here tonight. Hopefully you have the opportunity to hear Westville High School Choir as you were walking in. Let's give them a round of applause. So I have a few announcements and updates for you all. So in terms of our Smart Kid Cool Car, I'm hoping everyone is helping to spread the word about our Smart Kid Cool Car program open to all eligible Spring ISD students. Honda of Spring has generously agreed to partner with us again and to donate a 2018 HRV to our car giveaway. Yes, HRV. In May, students who have met certain criteria and community service requirements will get their name put in a drawing to win the car. If you all remember last year when we were at Wunchy, and the student who won last year, she was overwhelmed by the excitement as with her friends, and so we're excited about having this partnership again. We're looking forward to taking part in that event in May. I encourage all of our seniors to work hard so you're eligible for the drawing. At this time, we're going to watch a video highlighting that partnership.
Very well equipped car. It's got cruise control. It's got the nice stereo system, your backup camera. Foam rest, the seats fold down. Load up that thing with a lot of stuff.
Well, these are some of our seniors. They represent the ambit of our student body. They are assuring me that the winner is going to come from Spring High School. The car's really nice. It has a nice size too. Like it's not too small, it's not too big. It's just right for public English. I was at the event last year and all the excitement. You know, they get on and literally in shock. I mean, the more times we look great, we love to stop.
Got all our contacts in there. Got her playlist playing in the radio. Yeah, she's ready to win. And it's just exciting for us to be able to come to Spring ISD and do this.
I'm grateful. I mean, I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to partner with someone in our community that understands and gives back and, you know, for the right reason. That's all I love.
This is just as exciting for us as it is for them. We are so glad we're in the project to Spring ISD, and the kids' reaction is what it's for. I mean, it's unbelievable.
On another note, I want to encourage all of our seniors to fill out their free application for federal student aid as soon as possible. As a father of a daughter who is in that process right now, I know how it feels to sit down and to go through that process and to fill the FAFSA out. It's extremely important to open the door to possible financial aid opportunities and loans. I've already heard some great news from some of our college and career readiness department individuals about some of our seniors applying for early decision or early action, and some of them have already gotten acceptance letters, which is a great way to start out the year. I know that many of our seniors, including my daughter, will be finishing up applications over the winter break, and I want to give a shout out to all the parents and counselors who are out there who are offering support and guidance during this stressful time. All of the work is going to pay off when our students are actually accepted into college. As you know, every month we've been focusing on attendance. Every day counts and attendance matters. Every month I'm going to be talking about attendance because it's a priority for the board and it's also a priority for all of our principals, our teachers, and our administrators. Attendance matters because it directly correlates with student achievement and state funding. When students miss school, we all know that they miss out on important instruction and we lose as a district essential funding. In November, Spring Early College is now leading the pack among all of our campuses with a year-to-date attendance rate of 97.67. Let's give them a round of applause. Close behind are Winship Elementary and Robertson Middle School, both slightly above 97%. For the second month in a row, Westfield High School is still leading the pack with the strongest year-over-year improvement. You're going to hear from Dr. Hinojosa later tonight about the different strategies the districts and the campuses are working on regarding attendance. We're going to stop pushing on attendance. We can't stop pushing on attendance until we've met our goal, which means that every student is at school every single day. For those of you that did not have the opportunity to come out last Friday, we had our Winter Wonderland. I want to thank everyone who made our Winter Wonderland event a success. We had nearly 1,000 students turn out for that evening event. It was really a wonderful experience to see so many of our students and families enjoying all the activities, from making snowballs, and it was interesting, we paid to get snow in that day, and it actually snowed that morning. So making snowballs and taking a hayride, and also creating unique holiday decorations. It was also very encouraging to see the enthusiasm around the books, which every student that left had an opportunity to receive a book. At the district's largest literacy event of the year, we hope this event helped kindle more enthusiasm for reading. Certainly the kids were very excited about picking up their books. We want to first thank our Spring ISD Education Foundation, who donated all of the books for our students that night. Let's give them a round of applause. In addition to the books, we had a very busy weekend. Last Saturday, we had an event at Spring High School, which was also sponsored by our Spring ISD Education Foundation. It was our Harvey Luncheon. Many of our families, as we know, are still dealing with the effects of Hurricane Harvey. And we want to thank Josh Beckett Foundation for partnering with the Spring ISD Education Foundation on Saturday to host the luncheon and provide additional assistance for those who receive grants from a Hurricane Harvey Relief Fund. The event was held at Spring High School in the cafeteria, and it was really nice to see so many of our guests' faces when they were presented with HEB gift cards. In addition to the HEB gift cards, each family who attended received a check for $250. In addition to the check for $250, 4 families were given furniture vouchers from Mattress Mac that valued $4,000 each. Although Josh Beckett, who was the star baseball player at Spring High School and went on to play in the major leagues, was unable to attend, his wife Holly and the director of his foundation, Jason Oberle, who was also a Spring alumni, were at the event. Another Spring graduate, Brian Tuttle, prepared all of the barbecue that was provided by the Beckett Foundation and HEB. We are really excited, and thank you once again, Mr. Gray and the Education Foundation, for the work that you all did. Last but not least, our finance team, we have some celebrations. Today we have 2 promotions that I would like to highlight. Both individuals are with us tonight and are current members of the Spring ISD team. First up is Susie Morales. Will you please stand, Susie? Susie Morales was recently promoted to the Director of Finance. She now oversees compliance, activity funds, and treasury. Susie has been with the district for 4 years. Congratulations, Susie. Next up is Yvette Washington. Yvette, will you please stand? Yvette Washington, who was recently promoted to the Director of Financial Operations. She now oversees payroll and accounts payable, as well as the other finance side of benefits. Please just join me in welcoming them once again to their new promotions. Last but not least, our Spring ISD football season officially came to a close on December 2nd. After a very exciting and rewarding season, I was listening to some of the board members' comments on that last game, and I think we have some future referees here at the front. Westfield High School gave it their very best, and it really came close in their 3rd round game against Lufkin. We want to applaud their hard work, and all of our teams across the district deserve accolades for making it to the playoffs. I know next year our goal is to make sure that one of our teams comes home with the winning trophy. So at this time, that does conclude my lengthy announcements, and we turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Watson. Those were quite a few announcements, all great things, especially right now at the holiday season. I did hear some great comments about the Winter Wonderland. and as well as the football game. Hate I missed that as well. So, does anyone else have any other trustees have any comments?
Well, I thought Dr. Walker mentioned, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to mention about Bama 50th anniversary.
Yep.
Well, you don't.
That's what I was going to
I'm going to yield to Dr. Watson.
I will let Justine keep that in her
I'll
comments.
take that, Doctor. Good evening, everyone. Happy holidays. Last week was a great week. We had a lot of wonderful activities, but one of the best was at Bama Elementary, where they celebrated 50 years. And Dr. O did an amazing job. It was very elegant. We had tablecloths and crystal glasses, and it was just really well planned out. But what was most important is we had a lot of staff that had been there for a long time. We had students that actually came back, that went to Bama, and had an opportunity to speak to what Bama meant to them. And so it was just really a great activity and a great event to attend. And I just want to congratulate Bama and Dr. O for a great anniversary celebration that we all truly enjoyed.
Good.
We then followed up the week. We attended from the Greater Houston Partnership. Annually, they have an elected official, a recognition event that we attended downtown, and we had an opportunity to meet some of our other peers and other elected officials. And Spring was represented. We were all there, and it was a great event to attend as well. And I did just want to briefly comment on the Winter Wonderland. I think this is my third one in a row. Literally could not see the floor when I walked in.
Wow.
There were so many people, you could not see the floor. And you cannot miss the wonderful costumes that our cabinet wore, and the kids were so excited. And they added a Polar Express train. They had 2 trains going, and at each stop, I haven't seen the movie, but at each stop there was something that was related to the movie. We had the drill team from Decaney, and the choir and the cheerleaders were all performing at each stop. And you could just see the kids light up. And when I walked in, it was this line that I couldn't see the end of. And I was like, what is this line for? But they were just lined up all the way down the hall towards the bistro over at Decaney, waiting to ride the Polar Express. So it was amazing. I had a wonderful time. Went out in the snow, forgot it would frizz my hair up, but but I had a good time. Thank you.
I just want to piggyback on that. My kids nagged me about going to that for the whole week going up to it. They had a phenomenal time going around, filling out their passports and getting their book at the end. I also want to shout out Roberson Middle School. A few weeks ago had their game night, and they were really excited. They had a great time. You go and you play games that were content-oriented, so there was percentage trash get ball where you shoot and make the basket and then have to solve a percentage problem. My kids loved it. So we need to keep doing things like that.
I'd like to welcome Mr. Adams to our board. He was sworn in on last week, and he's our newest board member, and good to have a new colleague on the board. We thank each and every one of you all for being here tonight. And I always like to point out when I see the scouts here, so thank you, scouts, for being here as well, and those who escorted you here.
As long as you're mentioning the scouts, had an opportunity for a little question and answer session before this meeting, and I think we have some future trustees out there. Yes.
Good. Thank you. We will now continue with tonight's agenda. For our next item, I would like to again recognize our Superintendent of Schools, Rodney Watson.
So last Thursday at our work session, I was unable to be here, and Mr. Adams and Mrs. Newhouse were sworn in to their positions for this term. And so I want to officially welcome you to the board. I want to officially, it's funny that I'm welcoming him to the board and he's my boss. Welcome my boss to the board. And is there anything that we, the county, can do to assist you in your transition here? Congratulations. I'd like to present you with a certificate of election. It's certified at a general election held on the 7th day of November. Winthrop Adams was duly elected trustee position 4 for Spring Independent School District. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Watson. And welcome, Mr. Adams.
Thank you.
Our next item is a Spotlight Award. At this time, I would like to recognize our Chief of School Leadership and Student Support Services, Lupita Hinojosa.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez, and I have to say it's the most wonderful time of the year. And we are back to celebrate the artwork and all that our students do every day in our schools. And so today, we want to recognize the artistic talents and accomplishments of the Spring ISD students whose artwork was chosen to be part of the selection process for the district's annual holiday card. And I'd like to invite Dr. Joe Clark, who is our Director of Performing and Visual Arts. There he is. I was like, oh my goodness, I'll have to do it myself. No. Dr. Clark, yes, if you'll come to the podium and introduce our students.
I was inviting you if you want to come up here. Good evening, Vice President Gonzalez, members of the board, and Dr. Watson. Tonight I would like to honor 3 wonderful students whose work has been selected from the district as one of the top 3 finalists for this year's Superintendent's Holiday Card Contest. Each year, students enter their artwork in hopes of it being selected as the cover of Dr. Watson's holiday card. This year, each finalist will receive a framed or matted work of their artwork, you can see on the side, and first place will also receive printed copies of the same holiday card that Dr. Watson receives. Before I ask these students to join us, I would like to invite the members of the board, Dr. Watson, and the cabinet to join us in the audience for this presentation. Yeah. We have seats reserved for you.
Okay.
All right, here we go. I do have to say, I do have the best job in the district. See the artwork and everything, and student performances, it's absolutely amazing. And it becomes harder and harder every single year. Tonight, I would like to begin by inviting the 3 art teachers to join us. Okay? So now, I will also ask the 3 student winners to join us when your teachers come up. So students in the audience, I want you to come up with your teacher, as I call your teachers. Okay? All right, so please hold your applause to all introductions. From First Elementary, Angel Bruno, and George Polly from Smith Elementary, and Barbara Gardner from Meyer Elementary. So those yeah, perfect. We have a lot of surprises for these kids up here. So now, I would like to ask each teacher to go ahead and introduce your student, tell their name, what grade they're in, and point to the artwork.
Okay, so this is Jenna. Jenna is in 2nd grade. And this is not her first accomplishment through Spring ISD. She has also had artwork in the rodeo. And I believe she's on the rodeo, correct? Yeah. So this is an accomplishment.
Good.
This is Jenna.
Give her a round of applause. art supplies, and then also, and first place, the winner has the same Christmas card contest, winner cards that the superintendent has. So these are actual cards they can use in their family, and send them home, and have all the things on them. Congratulations. Now, I'd like to recognize the parents, and we have parents up in the audience. You guys have your parents here? All right, so if you're a parent of one of these students up here, please stand up. Parents stand up, parents stand up. And of course, this support doesn't happen without the principals, and I know all three principals are here. If you're a principal of this organization, or of one of these students, please stand up. And I gotta tell you, I came in with the announcement, and some of them I interrupted, like, DLC time, I interrupted everything. And you just have to get used to this, because this is normal. Some of you guys are winning year after year, so I need my own little time to come and do the announcement. If I could get, now, maybe, let's do, cabinet members, I'd like to invite you guys to the back of your seat. Board members, we want to take a picture with you, principals, we can have you also. You guys will join us for in the circle for pictures. All right? Ready?
You fell over? I love the elf one. That was my favorite.
It's always so...
Yeah, which Lauren contacted
Parents, you did a lot closer.
I love the elf.
One, two, three.
Jim, I'm going to do one more.
Come on. Right here on three. 1, 2, 3. All right, guys. Thank you. And the last thing I want to tell you is that all the artwork, the big, large prints, are for yours to take, too.
I think you need a skinnier person in this chair.
Thank you.
That would be hard.
Thank you, Dr. Hinojosa.
Thank you.
Our next item is a public hearing for Spring Independent School District State Financial Accountability Rating. At this time, I would like to recognize our Chief Financial Officer, Ann Westbrooks.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Watson, Vice President Gonzalez, and members of the board. There's a copy of the School First Report in your binders on page 12. And the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas, which is commonly referred to as the School First Report, was developed by the Texas Education Agency in 1999 and signed into law in 2001. This law requires that each school district prepare an annual financial accountability report within 2 months of receiving the official ratings. Each school district must announce and hold a public hearing to distribute the results of the report. The primary objective of the rating system is to assess the quality of financial management in Texas public schools. The School First rating system, which was used to assess the 2015-2016 year, consists of 15 base indicators that analyze the trends related to financial management efficiencies. The first 5 indicators are answered with either a yes or no answer, while the remaining indicators are assigned a point value. Each indicator is weighted equally, with the exception of the first 5. Failure to comply with either of the first 5 indicators results in an automatic grade of an F, which is a failure. And I'm pleased to announce that for the 2015-2016 fiscal year, Spring ISD achieved a rating of A, which of course is the highest rating and represents superior achievement. Also included in the first report are 6 required disclosures. These disclosures are located in the appendix of the School First report, and they are a copy of the superintendent's current employment contract, reimbursements received by the superintendent or board members for fiscal year 2016, outside compensation and fees received by the superintendent for professional or consulting services, a listing of any gifts valued above $250 that were received from outside vendors by either the board members, the superintendent, or their immediate family members, a listing of any business transactions between board members and the district, and any additional information that our Board of Trustees would deem useful. A copy of this report will be posted on the district's financial transparency website this week.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Westbrooks. Dr. Hill, do we have anyone registered to speak on the agenda item under public hearing?
No, Madam Vice President, we do not.
As there are no identified speakers, let's continue with tonight's agenda. For our next item, I would like to recognize our Chief Operations Officer, Mark Miranda.
Good evening, Vice President Gonzalez and Superintendent, members of the board. I'm really happy tonight to be able to present some progress with a couple of our major bond projects. And so I'm actually going to turn these over to the architects to be able to share these with you. So I'd like to call Mr. Mike Langley up to start us off. Mike Langley is with SBWV Architects. They recently joined forces with GPD Group, and he's going to be presenting to us 420 Lock Haven, the new police command center. Thank you, Miranda. Thank you all for having us here this evening to present the design for the Lock Haven facility with you. As you know, this is an existing building that y'all purchased for the purpose of becoming a police command center, also housed the tax office, instructional technology, and risk management. The existing square footage of the building is a little over 41,600 square feet. The police command center will occupy the majority of the first floor, which will be a little over 21,700 square feet. On the second floor will be the tax office, which will be about 3,800 square feet, the instructional technology department, which will be a little over 10,200 square feet, and the risk management office, which will be a little over 1,100 square feet. When we were looking at the police command center, we wanted to make sure that our square footage numbers were going to be adequate for their needs. So we started off comparing, first off, with what they had on the existing building, which was right around 8,000 square feet. And of course, you can see the number of police officers that they had and that they currently have in that facility. Then we also looked at KDISD's police department, which is fairly adequate, compares size-wise with the police force that they have, and that's almost 18,000 square feet, and has many of the same functions and programs that Spring ISD was wanting to have. And so we feel like that number of 21,700 square feet is a nice size, and will provide them with a little bit of growth opportunities in this facility. Now, the scope of work, of course, we're just renovating the facility. One of the main focuses is that we need to separate the public area from the command center, and also connect the secure areas of the command center. We're going to provide a new dispatch center with new equipment, provide an area for the status offender holding, install holding facilities for both juveniles and adults. We're going to utilize an existing bay, which this particular building was perfect because it had this existing bay that can work really well for a drive-through Sally Port. And we're also providing a large training facility for 100 people. For the tax department, we wanted to enlarge the lobby area to provide more stack room for people coming in to pay their taxes, provide a new service window with 4 lines, install tax records and vault room, and provide additional conference rooms and storage. For the instructional technology department, we're going to provide a new conference area, or war room as they call it, some additional office spaces, relocate the existing movable furniture that they have there, and install a glass corridor wall to separate the instructional technology office from the tax office for security purposes. And of course, risk management will be in with instructional technology, as provide 4 offices for them. And we're also creating a new shared break room on the 2nd floor, which will be shared from all 3 of those departments. And then, of course, we're providing the separation between those departments. The site plan, the public access to the building is off of Lock Haven Drive, and there's adequate facilities for parking there for visitors to the building. Right along the face of the building is a fenced-in area which also has sliding gates. And so all of the employee parking will be in a secured area back behind those gates, and the employees will actually enter the building on that lower side of the building. First floor plan, as you come in from the left, that main entrance, we're going to create essentially a secure vestibule area where all visitors will come into the reception of the police command center, and then they will have to be buzzed into the other areas depending on where they need to be visiting. We're also securing the areas of the police areas. As you walk down, all the offices are looped around in a horseshoe shape that go all the way up to the top. We've also got a large squad room. You can see just to the right of the squad room is the new dispatch area. We've also, in the further back, we've created an area for evidence storage, and then also a new roll call room. Moving further to the right, we have the Sally Port that we talked about, which is existing. To the right of that are the holding facilities, where we have the processing and print area, and then on either side of that, on one side we have a juvenile holding area, and on the other side the adult holding areas. And to the far right, we've created a lobby area and a training facility for around 100 people, and that training facility also has its own break room and men's and women's restrooms. Coming back over to the side, as you can see from the bottom, is the entrance that will be the employee entrance into the facility. There's a door that'll be a secured access door for the police officers to get into their area. Also to the right of that is an existing exercise room, which also has current showers that are existing there, so it makes a nice workout facility for both the officers and other employees for the district. The other employees will go up the stairs and can enter into, if they go to the right, will be the instructional technology and around to risk management, and to the left will be the tax office. As you can see, we've taken the existing furniture that currently exists at the Lock Haven facility and rearranged that for the instructional technology offices. We've also provided 7 technology offices for those people. Their help desk. We have an expanded MDF facility there for their technology hub center. We've also expanded, as we talked about, the tax department lobby as you come up that main entrance, provided the transaction windows. We also have a taxpayer conference room, So if there's someone that is struggling with needing some information about their taxes, they don't have to go into the secured area. They can go in a conference room there and have one of the employees come out and talk to them about their taxes or any information that they're needing. And behind that, we have all of the tax offices and conference rooms. We're also updating the exterior of the facility. We're painting the building to give it a fresh new look. We're adding signage to, of course, indicate that it's owned by Spring Independent School District, and also a signage to tell people that it's the Police Command Center and the tax office. Those are the main public access reasons to go to the building. The project budget is $1.8 million. We're currently working with Division I Construction. They're the contractor that's been selected for this project, and they're currently looking at drawings and putting together some numbers for us so we can follow our budget. We'd also like to thank Mr. Miranda, Gary Hutton, Darrell Turner, Chief Mitchell and his staff, Mary Ann Smith, Jeff Corman, and Darrell Simon for their help with us in developing this program and helping us to design this facility. And if y'all have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them for you.
Any questions?
Thank you, guys. Just one thing I think we mentioned at a work session, the need to have flagpoles.
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely have flagpoles to the building. Yeah, you're correct. Yes, sir.
You answered one of my questions about the input from people who are actually going to be in this building and working, that you have that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that this was a challenge because when we've toured that facility, it was like a rabbit warren or something, you know. And it looks very organized, the plan. I was curious about a couple of things. That first floor area that is undeveloped right now, I noticed that it's now going to be a huge training facility as well as a detention area. If they have to, police have to bring back people to question or talk to.
Yes.
I was just wondering why the logic of a huge training facility. Is this something that's going to be used by people throughout the district, or is it just for the residents of that building?
Yeah, I could jump in there, and also Chief Mitchell can jump in. The police department has memorandums of understanding with several other law enforcement agencies, and they share times when they're able to do training. So that's going to be able to be primarily for the police department's use. We may be able to have other departments come in, which is why we have its own kind of external entrance into that area. So it'll be a plus district-wide, primarily for the police department's use. Chief, you want to weigh in?
I would just like to say, yes, it would be open to others throughout the district to utilize the facility. It's just not confined for the police department, so we certainly welcome that.
Are we going to have technology trainings there as well?
We primarily technology training. We do have some training in this building. Sorry. Let me go to Yeah, we have technology training here that's already set up in the back in one of the T buildings. When that department moves, we think we might be able to utilize one of the rooms here just as a more central space for technology training. A lot of the people that are taking those trainings are in this building, and so right now the plan is to use that. That room won't be outfitted for technology in terms of, it's more of a kind of lecture-style training facility as opposed to a computer training facility. So right now there aren't plans for that there.
I just thought, what an opportunity to have large groups of teachers district-wide come in and do technology training. Went through that TCEA experience, and it was just absolutely phenomenal. Was wondering.
I should have probably mentioned it at the beginning. The review is really to get your feedback as well, so that's definitely some good feedback we can take back.
Okay.
I had a comment. I just want to say and commend our administration, because this facility came loaded, to meet a lot of our needs. We already had the Sallyport there, which I understand is pretty expensive, but it was already with the building. We were able to retain the furnishings as part of the purchase, and so we were able to save quite a bit of dollars. And our current police department has definitely, as a district, outgrown our current location. And during the flood, they got flooded in, so we don't need our police department flooded in. So it was definitely time to move forward with this and to get our tax department out of the temporary facilities and into their own building. I'm really excited about how once the bond passed, you all moved forward and put something together that meets our needs, but also was very well thought out as far as finances are concerned. And I just want to say thank you.
And I know acquiring the building and renovating it is a fraction of the cost of building this thing new.
Exactly.
So we always like to use taxpayer money to best
Wisely.
advantage.
Can you go back to the floor plan? I was trying to see where the entrance is. It's kind of on the side, not in the front. Is that what I'm seeing correctly?
Okay.
A pointer?
Let's go back to the front entrance picture. That might help here. In the blue on the far left here, that is the main entrance into the building. And then where you can see this other blue area here is a covered area, and that's the secondary entrance, which will be the employees' entrance. We'll also have a covered area just like that over the lobby into that train.
It'll be secure behind the, for the vehicles and
That's correct.
everything
Yeah.
else in the
That's a
back.
nice feature that also was, so have that gated area, which they'll be able to secure the employees' parking.
Yes.
Department and all.
I know when we first looked at the building, we contemplated the tax department down on the first floor. Can we speak a little bit to the methodology why we moved them?
When we were looking, one of the first slides that you saw was the square footage. We really wanted to contain the police department on the first floor so that there could be some continuity of the spaces, so that the command staff could be on the first floor with the employees. And so we really felt like utilizing that whole first floor for the police department was a win-win. So we went to the tax office and we went to Ann and we asked them about the possibilities of going up a level. And they acquiesced, and it was kind of a win-win for all of us to be able to keep them on the first floor. The tax office still gets a really nice space on the second floor to be able to do that. And there's great access, both stairwells and elevators, to be able to get to that lobby.
Well, I like it.
How much of the furniture were you able to reuse?
Probably the majority of the furniture that was there is still there. The cubicles, the really nice octagonal cubicles that some of you saw when you visited the site are going to be utilized by technology. One of the good things to mention about technology moving there is, if you recall, during our bond leading up to the referendum, we had a lot of conversations about our current technology center and the needs that it had. And so we're going to get the benefits of that center being on the second floor, which is a good thing. And this building was already outfitted in many ways for technology. And so we're getting those benefits along with some added redundancy in our systems. And so we're really excited about being able to use that larger building for multiple purposes, primarily the police, but being able to leverage that second floor for other positive things is really a huge benefit.
Cost savings to have 3 departments in that one building. Great.
Guys excited?
Yes.
What's the timeline?
Well, we're going to have, probably our first GMPs will be coming in spring. Right. And then we'll get working as soon as our GMPs get approved by the board in the early spring. Yep. Any other questions on that?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Miranda. Please continue with your next item.
All right, for the next item, I'm going to call Laura Socklaben up. She's from Stantec, and she is going to have the pleasure of presenting design plans for the new district stadium.
Oh, beautiful.
He said my name correctly, so that's test number 1. I also have with me Scott Klaus, who is our senior designer with Stantec, and in the audience we have Steve Parker, who is our senior project manager. So any tough questions, we're going to kick back to Steve.
Okay, sounds good.
So Dr. Watson, ladies and gentlemen of the board, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. Stadiums are highly visible facilities, not just for your students and community, but obviously for other communities that come in to the district to participate in events at your facility. So we know the importance of this, and we are very honored to be a part of it. We want to first, by acknowledging all the input that has gone into this, everyone from Dr. Watson, Mr. Miranda, Mr. Hutton. We've had meetings with transportation, with police, with maintenance, athletics, of course. And so we've really tried to get as much input as possible from all the departments to make sure that we're making the right decisions for this facility. Schedule, because I know that question is going to come up. We're currently in design development, wrapping up design development. We'll be moving into construction documents. The goal is to have the stadium completed by the football season of 2019, so that's what we're working towards right now. We do have our contractor, the CM at Risk on board, that's Satterfield and Ponticus, and we are working through the design process with them, figuring out if we can do early packages, things of that nature to get the construction process moving faster. Just to take a look at where the site is, you can see from Cypresswood Drive, between that and Spring Creek. We always like to, because they are district-wide facilities, look at it in comparison to where your other high schools are, your other facilities in the district. It's 117-acre site, and you can see where it sits between Cypresswood Drive. It really sits on Cypresswood Drive. That is the main access. And Scott is going to take you through the details of the design.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. This is the site plan for the stadium. I'll walk you through some kind of big picture items, and then I've got a close-up here. All of the drives are coming off of Cypresswood Drive, and we've been working with your chief to kind of work through some ways to make sure we get people out of here quickly. So we're thinking about traffic control. The site itself is basically working with the middle portion of the site, but there is plenty of future development that could happen on this land. And as soon as we get a little more information about the site, we'll know how much attention we're really dealing. The site itself really is split up into a couple of different zones. We've got the home side, the visitor side for parking. All spectators and parents are to be in those designated areas. This inner ring is designated just for buses, any service personnel or whoever it might be, and it's very important to try to keep all these people as separate as possible, students separate from the flow of traffic, people coming to and from the stadium. We've got bus parking on both the north and the south. We've provided more to the north for the band, which is by the band plaza, and then there's a field house. We have a large 3D that I think will help give you a better sense of what's going on here, but I'm just going to walk you through this quickly. We do have some bus parking on the south for the field house, locker rooms, as well as a spring memorial that's located right across from the field house. Zooming in a little bit closer, I've already talked about some of these things, but you can see the band plaza, which is also separated into two different home and away areas. You start to see the development of the entry plazas and some different things as spectators come to the stadium. So this stadium is basically set in the ground about 8 feet, and then is raised. The mid-concourse is up about 6 feet. So what's really nice about this scenario is that people can park, and then there's some gradual ramps that bring you up to the stadium, so you're not walking up a bunch of stairs, but you still have nice prominence to use the stadium. You see the field house here on the south side, scoreboard. That's in the floor plans, a little bit more detail. We've consolidated the concessions to create really the most economical plan that we can. So what we're trying to do is just consolidate, make everything as compact as possible and as efficient as possible. And at the same time, we've really been working to make sure that this is a very visible, secure facility. So this whole concourse here is open. We have 2 points of entry. Everything else is fenced off, and really you can observe this whole concourse and everyone attending with just a couple of people and see it. So that's been a very important factor in the development. We also got some designated restrooms for the band and some changing rooms in case they need those facilities as well. So that's something that's unique. The visitor side is exactly like the home side. That's very important for a district facility like this. Even the seating numbers and everything will be the same. So the district, if you have for ticketing, basically. Closer look at the community room. This community room will hold approximately 300 people at banquet style and up to 500 in more of a lecture style. It has, we've been working on some development of a Hall of Fame area, and as we get deeper into the design, that will develop as well. The administration for the athletic director is towards the front of the building, so this will be accessed on a daily basis. And so that's right there, prominent at the front entry. The lockers are anchored against the field, and we've been providing basically for a student experience these field entry tunnels that will have will have lights in those tunnels that'll be the color of the light of each school that's playing. So very dynamic space. The kitchen we are also developing right now that serves the community. As we get into the press box is 2 levels. The first level, this level is kind of all business down here. So you've got coaches, broadcast, video room, all those types of things it takes to keep the game going and the stadium going. They do have some areas, a kitchenette, a place where they can eat some barbecue every once in a while. And then on the upper level, this is really more for hospitality, also for some flex rooms or suites that can be rented out, or really anything the district decides to do with them. Nice open area with views in both directions, towards the field and the seating bowl. This is the home side. We have concrete, seats with aluminum bleachers on the lower portion. This is a cost-saving method. It's a little expensive. As many seats as we can get down is more important than trying to build seats up. All the seats up will be aluminum, and the center section will have seat backs. Same on the visitor side. So here's what the stadium starts to look like. So this is the view in daytime. This is similar to the nighttime shot we opened up with. But you can really start to get a sense of how the parts and pieces work together. Your approach to this upper plaza, how the field house starts to look, as well as this memorial that we're starting to see, the band plaza, scoreboard, that type of thing. This stadium really has a nice view, a nice presence. We've tried to customize this to make it a very unique stadium for spring. And it does that also in a very economical way. So we're using materials like burnished block. Everything that's up high, we're using metal panel, and so they're very durable, but economic. As we go forward, there's another view from the other side, looking at the development of that plaza, and then this stadium really shines at night. So we start to look at the custom LED. We're still studying on the different ways that we can achieve this, but we've already done that with other stadiums. And so these lights are colored, and they're customizable to each school, or if you want to do some sort of a 4th of July celebration or whatever it might be. You've got a lot of different options there. And then as well as some colored light on panels on the sides. Kind of an example of the changing in color. And this last view here shows the Spring Memorial. That's also something that's in development. But this is basically a designated placeholder for it right now. As you see, you've got views back to the community room. The community room has a direct connection, a visual connection to the memorial, I think, which is really important, as well as the field is really the major player in this room. It's the feature, so it's going to be a beautiful facility.
That, we'll open it up to any questions you guys may have for us.
I'm quite sure that it's included, but I just want to make sure for conversation piece that I hear it. Handicap session, the handicap setting, they have handicap seating?
Yes.
Can you just go over that piece?
So we have designated some handicap spaces in this location, and this is actually ramped up very subtly. So everybody will experience the stadium in the same way. So all of the handicap seating is on the mid-level, which is very common. So a car will be parked, come get the ticket, and you'll be able to have your own designated handicap seating.
That's important.
And there's also elevator that goes up to the press box, both levels of the press box.
Thank you.
I think I saw there were like 26 handicap seats. There was ample seating there, which
There's
is
a code
really
that we need
needed.
to meet.
Yeah. The other thing I always look for is restrooms, and I'm real serious about potty parity. That I've been to many stadiums where they made male and female restrooms the same size, which is just not going to work. And I noticed that you planned for that, so thank you. One of the rooms I did not know, it was a taping room. I didn't know if you were using digital tape or you were actually using taping ankles and things.
That's exactly
Okay.
And those rooms are located directly on the field side. We've been doing that lately before you get into the locker rooms, because a lot of times you have female trainers that are also taping the team, and so that always things we're being mindful of, as well as two officials' locker rooms, so that there can be a male and female official.
And just one last thing. I keep asking the people who are using this, the coaches, any players, did they get to be part of this plan, or?
Willie's in the audience.
plan?
I think he's here somewhere.
Yay. I just really like to see if people who are going to use the facility look it over.
I think he has some words
And
for
I think police are in on this too, because I know as security concerns have been high about our old stadium.
We have been speaking about this for a long time with
Yeah.
a lot of people. Everybody's got input, I can promise you that.
Good.
And yeah, we did talk to the trainers about what they wanted, and what Scott said, they wanted to have an outside access to the field, so if a child gets hurt, the parent can come in, be with the child, and leave with the child and not have to go to the locker room, the mom can come in. So we took into consideration everybody's needs, even the timekeeper and the announcer and everybody's needs.
It looked like the traffic flow in different areas was so well thought out, and I didn't even know about some of the things like the parents coming in, that I'm so glad that somebody is actually encountering these problems, is there to comment. Good.
He's come to meetings with 3 pages of questions to make sure that we're doing everything correctly,
I like it.
which is a good thing.
Yes, I like it.
So one of the things I was going to comment on the taping room when Dr. Jensen brought it up is that it has the entrance on the outside, so parents can come in and see their students and they don't have to go through the locker room. Another feature I like is right now, our team, and the band, they kind of have to go out on the outside in order to get to the field. And I see we've got hallways for them to come through and go directly on the field,
Right.
so they're not exposed, to the public, straight from the locker room to the field. So that's really good.
It was also the changing room, I thought was a great idea. I guess it talked to the performing arts and a place where either the band or the drill teams have a place to change rather than going into the public bathrooms, taking up space in there. So I think you all, like you said, have spoken to just about everybody that's going to be a part of that, not just athletics, but also transportation, police, performing arts. So you guys have come up with a great layout for us.
Now, I understand you built the New Caney Stadium, and we got to see a game there, and I was very impressed with, I could envision this so much better. I need 3D physical experiences, but anybody is interested in how this stadium's going to look, you can get a little bit, I think, idea if you'll visit that other stadium. And I'd like to say the Westfield players in the game. If I were a football scout, the Westfield players played much better than Lufkin in that last quarter.
We want to talk about some of those calls.
Okay, I just had to put that in.
Let me thank you guys. I don't know if a lot of folks know that we have a subcommittee that's been meeting to discuss a spring memorial, which there is none that exist in this unincorporated area, to recognize veterans and those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, and even those who might have worked for the district and served. So we're excited about that. You're right, it's still in development. I'm glad we're future thinking. One of my greatest wants in this bond was an arena. As you all know, we have always traveled elsewhere to graduate our scholars. I do see that, again, it's sort of plugged in to be closer to Cypress Wood, but I also see we have other areas that potentially it might be located whenever we get to that point in down the road. But it will take on the shape more so of the New Caney Stadium. You guys are doing New Caney, and you're also doing the Alvin. Alvin's a bigger stadium, right?
Yes, sir.
10,000+. Real good. It's a heavily wooded area. I passed by there on Sunday. Got a lot of trees to cut down. I mean, it's really...
We're going to try to save as many as we can.
Yeah.
Not in the football field.
I don't know if we can get paid for those trees, Dr. Watson, but...
It's up to Ann, we'll figure out a way.
Let's figure out a way to get paid for those trees. But, we were impressed with the New Caney Stadium, and our understanding is this one's gonna be flipped. We had a tour, some of us, and also, there are gonna be some changes, based on some of the experiences from the New Caney Stadium. It looks good though. That stadium, I think, is about 4 years old now. Nice looking stadium. So thank you guys very much for what you put into this so far.
I have a couple more comments, if I may. One of the changes I thought about that Mr. Bell just mentioned is we're moving the ticket counter further in so that it's more secure. Right now, theirs is on the outside, so I like that change. But we had an opportunity, I think it was Dr. Jensen and I, to speak with the students that were running scoreboard in there. And so I know that our curriculum department is putting some things in place to make it opportunity for learning as well. And the students run the whole room, and so I sat in there and talked with them for a minute, and they were really excited. Some of them, it was their first year, and some of them had been doing it for 4 years, and they were seniors. And so I'm really excited about that opportunity to develop that skill set for our students when they go on to further learning.
And certainly one of the things that, as we talk to those who are doing business with us, is we really want our partners to engage the students whenever they can. You know, whether it's putting a hard hat on them, or, you know, we've got students who might want to do what you guys do and want to see how it's done. So however you guys can engage our students, we would be appreciative of that.
I know Trustee Bell mentioned already about the memorial, and I am the military person on the Board of Trustees. I'm extremely excited about the opportunity to work in that endeavors, because I think it's greatly needed. Trustee Bell didn't mention, but there's no memorial at all in our district. You know, we have one in our neighbor district, and of course, you know, we got the National Cemetery on veterans. But this opportunity, we can recognize some of our comrades and some of our people that have laid the foundation for our district in a memorial setting. So I'm excited. I'm part of the subcommittee. I'm definitely excited about that initiative. So thank you.
And we tend, you know, we have a history of building really nice buildings, structures in the district. This will be the first time we've done one of these in 50 years. And we expect the same thing for any kind of memorial as well, that it's representative of the quality of workmanship in the district. But again, thank you guys. It looks good.
Yes. Questions or comments?
That's
Thank
our
you.
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miranda. For our next items, I would like to again recognize our Chief of School Leadership and Student Support Services, Dr. Lupita Hinojosa.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez and members of the board. Tonight, I'm excited to bring to you and introduce you to Emerge. Emerge empowers and prepares high-performing students from underserved communities to attend and graduate from selective colleges and universities across the nation. And so tonight, I want to invite to the podium Tricia Cornwell, who is the Executive Director of Emerge, and she will walk us through a presentation to introduce you to this program.
Well, good evening, Cabinet, Dr. Watson, and members of the board. My name is Tricia Cornwell. I'm the Executive Director of Emerge, and I actually have two of my colleagues here tonight, Whitney Goucher, she manages our College Scholar Initiatives, and Shavante Wright, who's our Manager of College Success. She's also a Duquesne graduate. She's going to share a little bit about her experience later on tonight. So when I started conversations with Dr. Hinojosa and Dr. Watson about six months ago now, I think, one thing that we talked about is how our program aligns with the goals of the district. And so tonight I thought we could just talk through what we do as an organization, our current results, we think our program would be great and beneficial for Spring ISD, and what a potential partnership could look like. So first and foremost, what do? Our mission is to empower and prepare high-potential, high-achieving students from low-income communities to attend the nation's most selective colleges and universities. And why do we do that? We do that because, unfortunately, today we still live in a country where a zip code determines destiny, oftentimes, for students. And, looking at the data year over year, we see that only 3% of students at the nation's top colleges come from the bottom 25% of the income quartile. And we also see that only 8% of students with the SAT scores and GPAs to get in ever even submit an application. And so what we know is that it's not that the students don't exist at these high schools, it's that they're not even applying. And it's oftentimes because they're unaware of all of the different colleges and universities that exist that they can get into and also go pretty much on a full scholarship. So why selective in colleges and universities? One is we know that college persistence is higher when students go to a college that aligns to their academic potential. So a student that has a high GPA, top of the class, high SAT score, we want them to attend a school where they're going to be surrounded by their peers. We also know that these colleges meet up to 100% of financial demonstrated needs. So of the students in the program right now, many of our students go to schools like Harvard, Yale, We just had 4 students accepted to Stanford this year, going on a full ride. And a lot of the times the colleges even pay for their flights back and forth from Houston. Selective colleges also have higher graduation rates. So most of the schools that we work with have above 75% of students graduating within 6 years. Many of the schools have, a school like Rice University, for example, has a graduation rate above 95% in 6 years for a first-generation low-income student. And so our goal is to connect students to schools where we know they have the highest probability of graduation. Last but not least is alumni network and brand in the job market. We know that when students are graduating from these colleges, when they go in for job interviews, they're oftentimes the first resume in the pile. And for students coming out of a lot of these high schools across Houston, we want to make sure that they're the most competitive applicant in the job process, but also that they are the first student looked at when a leadership position comes to be. So who's our target student in our target college? We are a selective college university program. So we target we have about 150 schools on our college list. They're determined by how high their graduation rates and how much financial need will be met for that college. Every year we reassess colleges. We're out building partnerships with them to make sure that more students can get accepted each year and be able to go with financial aid. Our student profile are students generally in the top 5 to 10% of the class. They qualify for free and reduced lunch. They have a strong SAT score. If they don't, we have them participate in it's called Test Masters program. Most of our students increase their test score between 200 and 300 points while they're in Emerge. And for selective college admissions, oftentimes if you don't break 1,200, the colleges won't even look at you. So we have students come into our program with 1050, under 1,000, and we're able to work with them to increase their SAT scores, oftentimes up above 1,300. And we've had really great results since the program started. In 2010, we started with only 14 students at one high school, and today we're serving 1,500 students across 47 high schools and more than 100 top-tier colleges and universities across the country. And it's been an amazing ride since we've started, and we're just so excited to continue working with new communities across the city of Houston. I think one thing that's been most exciting for us is that as the program grows, we see, for example, this year, the 4 students who were accepted to Stanford, they now have a cohort of students from Houston to go with. And what we do, and which I'll go into a little bit of our program, is that students across all high schools in HISD and Spring Branch, we get to be together. So a student going off to Yale from Spring ISD would then know 4 other students from HISD or Spring Branch that are going. And we have a lot of initiatives to connect students in cohorts across the entire Houston area. And just to highlight a few stats, right now, less than 14% of low-income students will ever earn a college degree, and of high-achieving low-income students, only 41% of students will earn a degree. And Whitney may share a little bit afterwards around the current issues that we have around college persistence for even high-achieving students. Just because a student is the valedictorian does not mean that they're definitely going to graduate from college, because so many other barriers get in the way through the process. So our vision is that we will be the leading pipeline of talent for first-generation college students in the city of Houston, regardless of school district. That we will work with the smartest, most talented, brilliant kids across every high school in Houston and connect students to create this really dynamic alumni network for the city and for the district. These are the 3 areas that we believe we add the greatest value for a student in the program. One, they now become part of a larger selective college community. They're not just one student from one high school going to Rice. They are now with 7 or 8 students from the city going, and they have a cohort of students to be with. Second, they're a connected and highly influential alumni network afterwards. So as things that we're seeing now is students that are graduating from college are now starting to, help each other get new internships and find jobs. And we also believe that we will become an admissions pipeline, that when Harvard and Yale and Vanderbilt come to Houston, that they'll come to Emerge and say, who are your top students in the city and how can we connect them to our college? And we want to make sure that regardless of school district, that we're partnering with school districts that have students that they can attend all of these colleges and universities. Shavante is going to present at the end, so I'll go back to this. So one thing that I wanted to just share was one high school that I think is a comparable high school to Dekaney High School here in Spring is Northbrook High School in Spring Branch ISD. Oftentimes people come to me and say, well, is Emerge only for a high school that's a magnet high school or a high school that only has really high achieving students? And what we find is that there are Emerge students in every single high school that we work with. We find that even students that are coming in with lower SAT scores when they start, we're able to help them increase their SAT scores. We also are aware of all of the test-optional colleges across the country, and we know that sometimes SAT and ACTs are extremely biased, and students just don't do well on standardized tests. And so we can help them connect to test-optional colleges and make sure that they're the most competitive applicant in the process. So I just shared 3 students from that high school. All 3 of these students entered the program, I guess 2 years ago now, and all attended our college tour. So they go on a 6 to 7 day Emerge college tour across the country. They visit a research university, a liberal arts college, a women's college, only if they're a woman, but they visit an Ivy League university and other colleges that are in the area. And it's really to expose them so that they can come back and say, I really like the liberal arts college, I can see myself there. Or, I love to research, I want a huge college, let me think about different colleges in that area. But we have students, the student in the middle, Alex, is a student that his SAT score would have eliminated him from most colleges and universities on our list. But because we were able to pay for the SAT prep, he increased his score and then became a really competitive applicant at almost every school on our college list. All 3 of these students are Northbrook grads. All 3 of these students are attending schools that no Northbrook student has ever attended in the history of the school. And all 3 of these students are going to college on a full academic scholarship. They're not paying anything for college. And so I think that's one of the other huge benefits of the selective college process is that these schools are supporting first-generation college students, both with money and with supports on campus. And so we're constantly building our relationships and partnerships to increase the number of students in the city that get to attend. These are just some of the schools where students attended last year. And we know that still many students find that a local option is their best option, and that's great. But we want to make sure that, all of these schools are not just for wealthy private schools, private school high schools, that regardless of what high school you're graduating from, that you're aware and you're exposed to all of the opportunities that are out there for you. So just a high level of what does our program do? We recruit students in 10th grade. 10th grade, in all of the districts that we work with right now, we have an after-school program. We work with students every other week for 2 hours, starting in 10th grade. The end of 10th grade, they go on a summer college tour. Like I said, last year we went to Boston, Philadelphia, California, and upstate New York. I forgot the last one. So we usually do 4 a year. The students go on the college tour with students from across all of the districts that are in the program, so they get to build relationships with other high-achieving students in Houston. They come back after they get a chance to see 4 different types of colleges. They come back in 11th grade, and that's really the time where we prepare and empower them. In the summer of 10th grade, we do a lot of work around case studies to say, we have the kids come together and look at 3 different students and have them decide who they would admit to a college. And so they're able to see, wow, this student didn't take enough AP classes, or, this student his GPA dropped, so let's not let him in. So they go back and forth, but it helps them see what does the college admissions process really look at. So they come back, we help them select the right course load to take, and then we pay for SAT prep, and then we work with them to build their college list in 11th grade for the fall of senior year. So senior year is a one-on-one advising where we work very hard to make sure that students have a competitive list, that they're the most competitive applicant in the process. And we know through doing this work how students get in, when they get in, what makes them the most competitive student through the process. And I think our strength is that this is what we know. We are a selective college program. We work with a certain type of kid in a certain type of college, and we have seen really great results so far. So before I go on to just kind of what the partnership would look like, I wanted to invite Shavante up here just to share a little bit of her experience. She was a Dekaney graduate. She's now on the Emerge team, and she is a Rice graduate.
So I just want to say, first of all, thank you for allowing me to be here, and I can't help but feel that, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now, because in my application essay to Rice, I talked about Dekaney, of course, and I talked about, my peers and how I felt that, that I wasn't exceptional, right? I'm not the first one accepted into Rice because, I'm just this exceptional student. Because my friends from high school are still my best friends to this day because of their character, because of their potential, because of their brilliance, right? And these are friends from Dekaney High School. And it's because I had some extraordinary opportunities that come to me, and that's what I think I submitted to Tricia once I heard that she was that we were expanding to Spring ISD. So I was like, let me say something about this, because this is exactly, this is perfect. So I'll just share, a little bit of my background, how I ended up at Emerge, and why I think that Spring ISD would be, they would benefit from Emerge. So, like she said, I went to Dekaney High School. I went to Valley Middle School down the street, and I had a counselor, Christy Lynch, who reached out to me and was like, oh, hey, you should apply to Rice. I'm like, Rice, what is that, right? And so, from there, I just had I was so fortunate to have people telling me, oh, you need to get letters of recommendation, oh, you need to do this, this is how you do this, because I just didn't know, right? I just didn't know. And so there's so many students like that who just don't know or who don't have any idea, but if given those resources, if given that knowledge, if given, the coaching, if someone, just believes in them, then they can go far, right? Because my SAT scores were lower, too, and I got into Rice, and I graduated cum laude. And it's that's not it's just because students need the opportunity to, they need the opportunity to show what they're capable of, and I think that Emerge does that. And so I ended up at Emerge after teaching a year at Yes Prep, actually. I taught in 3rd Ward, and I taught 7th grade, and they were 12, and I'm like this, and so it was just like, it was like, it was 1 year, and I was like, all right. And so, I ended up at, Emerge because of their mission, and I was like, okay, wow, like this is exactly what I talked about in my application essay to Rice, is about the opportunity to give students who weren't given anything but worked hard for everything the chance to have everything. And so, that's what I believe Emerge can do, and I really believe that Dekaney and Spring and Westfield would hugely benefit from program managers who can, come into their lives and say, hey, you're high achieving. They're like, oh, my SAT's this. Oh, but you just don't know. Like, you're high achieving. And then, give them the resources, the programming from 10th, 11th, 12th grade, and then put them into a selective college and give them a platform. Like, I'm standing here today, and I'm standing here able to articulate so many things to you all, and I was able to do so much at Rice as far as research and whole leadership positions. And I think that we need students like me, students at Dekaney, students at Spring and Westfield who have all this potential and so much to offer the world, the opportunity to do so. And so that's just my little spiel about Emerge and why I feel like it's such a great organization. And I just hope that when you see me, you see those kids at Dekaney, right? And you see the potential that they have to really achieve and make their impact on the world, and return to their communities with that. Because when you lift, the people that society have neglected the most, you lift the entire society. So.
When did you graduate?
2012.
We're very proud of you.
Thank you.
Graduated with my daughter. Okay.
What school was she at?
Caney.
What's her name?
What's her name?
Oh, Jasmine Bell.
Jasmine, she's at Emory.
Yes.
Yeah. I took Spanish with Jasmine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Wow. That's great. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Coming back and speaking.
So I think the last thing I'll share before I open it up for questions is when we partner with districts, we really see ourselves as a partner with the district. So, for example, in Spring Branch, we work with counselors in the district and we train them so that the knowledge that we have is not just for the knowledge of the students in Emerge, but for all the students in the high school. One of our program managers this year did an entire session for the district in Spring Branch on the undocumented DACA challenges that we're having, and what does that mean for financial aid? What does that mean for college enrollment this year? And we really see ourselves as helping the district just think about college access maybe in a different way, and also learning from the practices that are already happening here. I mean, I am so excited to meet Shavante's counselor because it's people like her that are doing the work right now, and we're just happy to come in and just help increase more students to get that opportunity. So right now, based on our initial conversations, this is how many students we think we would be able to serve over the next 4 years in spring. So starting with a smaller cohort, making sure that we get the model up and running, and then growing each year to grow the program out in the district. We would start the first year with 5 students, just because obviously we would be coming in this potentially early next year. And so we'll start with a small cohort and then hopefully grow the program out. So I'd love to open it up for questions for any of you, and I'll have my colleagues come up as well, since they are the brainchild behind everything we do here at Emerge.
So, are you guys nonprofit or?
Yes, we are 501c3, and we partner with districts in Houston right now. We're just Houston-based.
I saw a program like this with Yes Prep, and they wouldn't even share the names of the colleges they were getting their cohorts of students into because they didn't want competition from public schools, apparently. I'm just thrilled that you do this citywide and with public schools, because I know that there is some real talent in this district that is not blooming, is not coming to what it can be. And it looks like with the guidance, I almost think of these as like you need a navigator sometimes, you know? You're the ship and you've got the propulsion and everything and you've got everything going, but you need a navigator to help you get through things. And that it makes a huge difference. So, yeah, I think it's why families that have generation of college goers, they seem to counsel the children and grandchildren how to do it. And that breaking into that first generation into college is an important thing, I think, for a whole family. Well, that's the thing.
One thing I will share too is Bloomberg Philanthropies just announced an initiative a lot of colleges have signed on to increase the percentage of students in the bottom 25% of the income quartile to 25%, I think it's by 2025. And so a lot of these colleges now are investing resources to be able to increase the number of students that they are able to take. So we're not going to not be sharing information with anyone.
So we hear about what programs like the Duke TIPS program. There are probably others that are out there. Is this kind of along the same philosophy? Like, where they identify students.
In the summer,
They bring them in.
Early, much earlier, yeah.
Yeah, my brother, he tried to do one of those things.
But we also help students with summer programs. We do a lot of fundraising to help them connect to summer programs between the 10th and 11th grade and then 11th and 12th grade year. We connect with colleges to do fly-in programs. So oftentimes if students have never been outside of Houston, we're able to get the college to provide a free flight for the student to actually go visit the college to see if they'd want to stay there. So because of our relationships with the colleges, we are able to access a lot of resources.
I think your cohort is so important. As I remember the Yes Prep program, the students would meet like weekly, and they would check up on each other. And if problems were happening where somebody just decided not to go to class anymore, they had peers who said, you know, you need to go to class. But it's amazing how sometimes freshmen in college can just go crazy, you know.
Well, you know, awareness is the first step to change, so giving our students the awareness, you know, to move forward with their higher education is always beneficial.
Tricia, could you explain the service model here for how you're serving kids each year? I see 65 high school students in the 18-19 year. Is that 65 10th graders? Is that a...
So in the first year, I'll have to go back and check the breakdown exactly. I believe we started with five seniors, 20 juniors, and then 40 sophomores. The program generally starts in 10th grade, but because we're starting the contract, we wanted to start having students earlier and catch up the juniors and seniors so that they didn't miss out on the...
What you just said explains the progression.
Okay.
You do have just a quick handout in front of you that just gives an overview of Emerge.
So one of the things I would say, we've been having conversations as Trish indicated, just really trying to understand the model and really figure out how it would benefit our students here in spring. And we have had some conversations, some very preliminary conversations regarding funding for this, from what it would take from a district perspective. One of the things, if you could talk just briefly about some of the funding sources and how other districts have used it, and also talk about what we are going to be needing to do is go out and talk with funders.
Yes. So the way that we have our model set up is we ask the district to contribute a third of the cost of the program, and then we collaboratively fundraise for 2/3 of the cost of the program. So, for example, in Spring Branch, the district puts in a third of the cost, and then we went to the Houston Endowment and asked them to fund the other 2/3. Over time, the district actually ends up paying a quarter of the cost because we fundraise for the college scholar piece, which is ensuring that every student who goes to college actually finishes. So we'll continue to privately fundraise for those dollars as the population grows. So the way that, and I did bring a handout, I can pass that out. Currently, the total cost of the program to launch in 2018 would be about $221,000, where we would ask Spring to put in $73,000 towards the cost of the program, and we would collectively fundraise about $147,000. From private funders. We're still in the process of exploring who. We're definitely going to be applying to the Brown Foundation. We're also exploring Exxon as a potential partner because they are here in the Spring area, and so hopefully that will come to fruition. But we feel really strongly that one of those funders will come through based on preliminary conversations with them last month. And then as time goes on, the number increases. So as the number goes up to 125 students, the program services fee for the district would become $105,000, and the fundraised cost would be $212,000. So we would go to a private funder and we would ask them if they would do a 3-year commitment over time, and they would donate the funds each year, and we would be able to access the program. And those, just to go over one more time, those costs cover the 60-to-1 college counselor ratio, student-to-college counselor ratio, the SAT prep, the 7-day college tour, the college scholar support that happens after college, that happens after high school, and we do a lot of weekend workshops, so mock college interview day, financial aid workshops for families, training, curriculum development, all of those different pieces go into the total cost. And I will hand these out just so everyone can look through.
So, Ms. Westbrook,
Yes, sir.
you won't go with this, right?
Dr. Hinojosa and I have been in quite a bit of discussion regarding the funding of this program, and I've also had conversations with the eMERGE team. And so we feel this is absolutely college and career readiness, and we feel as though there's funding available within our high school allotment that could help with the district share of the cost. And we would earmark those funds when we go into the next budget cycle. And then speaking with the eMERGE team, they're feeling very confident about the fundraising side that would pick up that other portion of the cost. So at this point, my comfort level has increased through these conversations. I'm sorry?
Are you blessing it?
Yes.
You're a money person?
Yes, in terms, Dr. Hinojosa and I are co-blessing it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are we committed to 4 years? Or is there any kind of out?
I believe we have to be committed to 4 years in order to make the investment worthwhile.
What I'm just concerned is because my early experience on the board was a recession and property values dropping and huge amounts of funds being taken from Spring ISD, and I just always like to feel secure about it.
Always a possibility.
Yeah.
I will definitely say that. That's always a possibility. The one thing is with the high school allotment funds, those funds are pretty much earmarked for this purpose, and we haven't seen any decrease or any change in those funds because they are given to us above and beyond for that specific purpose. Now, that is absolutely not to say that something couldn't change in that aspect as well, but that's any given year. That things that are unforeseen could happen, and then we would just have to adjust when that moment comes around.
And let's also realize that the organization has taken on 2/3, 75%, and sometimes there could be funding issues. If all goes up or goes down, you might lose funders. So, but I know you guys are always out there. You've got folks who are doing your development, that type of thing. So, but yeah, you're on the hook as well. You're at the mercy of the economy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone need to take a quick break, or?
Yes. I do.
Yeah. Okay. We'll take about a 7-8 minute break really quickly. Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting back to order. Thank you, Dr. Hinojosa, for the information on eMERGE. And I believe we are going to
go ahead and let you present your next item.
Yes, ma'am. So thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Last Thursday, seems like a long time ago, but on Thursday, we presented and we discussed the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding with iEducate. And so tonight, I'm asking that the board approve the proposed MOU between iEducate and Spring ISD. And just for us to recall, iEducate is a nonprofit organization that hires highly motivated college students to work alongside our teachers, supporting in the classroom to differentiate the instruction in grades 3 through 5. And specifically, they work with hiring university students that are first-time college goers that are actually working their way to earn money to pay for their college tuition. iEducate has recruited young students from the University of Houston, main campus, downtown, Rice University. We are excited that they've also partnered with Lone Star College, since that's one of our local colleges that we work with. And the goal of iEducate is to expose our elementary students to the role models that they not necessarily always are exposed to, but these role models would be assisting in the instruction in the classroom. So tonight, I do want to introduce the executive director from iEducate that's here tonight, Arun Gir, if you'll wave. He is here tonight. Thank you.
Have any questions? And we went over this last Thursday in our work session. Okay, I will now entertain a motion that the Board of Trustees approve the proposed memorandum of understanding between iEducate and Spring Independent School District as presented by the administration. Do I have
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the proposed memorandum of understanding between iEducate and Spring Independent School District as presented by the administration.
I second.
It has been moved by Trustee Davis and seconded by Trustee Adams that the Board of Trustees approve the proposed memorandum of understanding between iEducate and Spring Independent School District as presented by the administration. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay. We have a motion of 5-4 and 1 abstaining. Approved.
And thank you for being here. I'm with University of Houston downtown, so I thank you.
He's actually recusing him.
Yes, myself. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion is approved. Okay, for our next item, I would like to recognize our Chief Financial Officer, Ann Westbrook.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. And for this presentation, you all have a yellow folder that has the information regarding the Unlimited Refunding Bond Series 2018. And as has become our practice, whenever the interest rate environment is favorable, we take the advantage of the opportunity to refund debt that can save the district millions over the remaining life of our outstanding bonds. So tonight, we're seeking the board's approval to pursue a bond refunding opportunity that will, at a minimum, save the district just over $2 million by doing a current refunding of our outstanding bond series 2008A. But if the tax reform law were to work in our favor, we could also do an advance refunding of series 2011, 2012, and 2013, which would yield us a total savings of approximately $6.5 million.
Which, if the current tax reform passes from our new administration, then we won't be able to do.
We would be able to do the current refunding,
But
because
not the
but not the advance. Yes, ma'am. The current refunding is $11 million, and that's where we would receive just over $2 million in savings. That one is callable January 15th of 2018. So under the current or the new law, we would be able to do that one. But the advance refunding, which is about $64 million, we would not be able to take advantage of that opportunity right now. We'd have to wait until 2020 for the first one to become callable.
Let's hope our legislators make an adjustment to that.
Let's hope
tax
so.
plan.
Yes, let's hope so. And right now, what we're hopeful for is a delay in the effective date.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look very likely that it will go away, but we'll still remain hopeful.
Thank you, Ms. Westbrook. I will now entertain a motion that the Board of Trustees approve the order authorizing the issuance of one or more series of the Spring Independent School District Unlimited Tax Refunding Bond Series 2018 as presented by the administration.
I move that the Board of Trustees approve the order authorizing the issuance of one or more series of the Spring Independent School District Unlimited Tax Refunding Bonds, Series 2018, as presented by the administration.
I second it.
It has been moved by Trustee Jensen and seconded by Trustee Durant. The Board of Trustees approve the order authorizing the issuance of one or more series of the Spring Independent School District Unlimited Tax Refunding Bonds, Series 2018, as presented by the administration. Is there any discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. I vote for, excuse me. Okay, motion approved. Forget to do that myself. I'm used to sitting over there and doing this. Okay. Thank you. And you may continue with your next item.
Thank you. We issued a request for proposal for excess workers' compensation stop-loss insurance, and this insurance policy would provide coverage to the district for claims in excess of $400,000 per occurrence for workers' compensation injuries. We had one vendor that responded to the RFP but provided multiple insurance companies as options, and we are recommending to the board to award that one sole vendor who responded, who's also our current vendor, and the current insurance carrier.
Thank you, Ms. Westbrook. Okay, I will now entertain a motion that the Board of Trustees award the contract for excess workers' compensation stop-loss insurance to the provider recommended by the administration.
I move that the Board of Trustees award the contract for excess workers' compensation stop-loss insurance to the provider recommended by the administration.
I second.
May we ask a question? So this vendor is like a broker of
After
it?
discussion?
Oh,
Is there any discussion?
yes.
Before we start the discussion, I'd like to go on the record that I'm recusing myself from in the insurance industry, and I don't want a conflict of interest.
So this vendor works as a broker of other insurance companies?
Yes, ma'am.
To get us the best?
That's correct.
Great.
Yes, ma'am. They go to market, bring us options, and we select the one that's most favorable for the district.
Okay, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. And then we have one that is recused. Motion is approved. Our next item is the consent agenda, and I will now entertain a motion to approve and adopt all of these items listed on the consent agenda.
I move that the Board of Trustees approve and adopt all of the items listed on tonight's consent.
I second.
It has been moved by Trustee Durant and seconded by Trustee Jensen that the Board of Trustees approve and adopt all of the items listed on the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? As we mentioned, we discussed all of these at length on Thursday night at the work session. Okay. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, next is the public participation portion of our meeting. Chief Hill, do we have anyone registered to speak under public participation?
No, Madam Vice President, we do not.
Thank you. Okay. The Board of Trustees will now recess this open session and convene in a closed meeting in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.071, for the purpose of a private consultation with the Board's attorney on any and all subject matters authorized. Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.072, for the purpose of discussing the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Texas Open Meetings Act 551.074 for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or to hear complaints of charges against a public officer or employee. And Texas Open Meetings Act 551.076 for the purpose of considering the deployment or specific occasions of implementation of security personnel or devices or a security audit. No voting will take place in the closed meeting. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of the discussions in the closed meeting will take place after the board reconvenes in open session. The time is now 9:05. Okay, we will now reconvene and resume the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees at 9:51. We will now address the items discussed during closed session. Are there any motions?
I move that the board issue a school district teaching permit to the following employee, Michael Curtin, for the purpose of teaching non-core career and technology courses, and to authorize the superintendent of schools to notify the Commissioner of Education of the board's action.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? We have a motion by Trustee Jensen, a second by Trustee Adams, for the board to issue a school district teaching permit to the following employee, Michael Curtin, for the purpose of teaching non-core career and technology courses, and to authorize the superintendent of schools to notify the Commissioner of Education of the board's action. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion approved. Are there any other motions?
I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to terminate the contract of Kyle Francis upon finding that the employee failed to perform his contract without good cause, and authorize the superintendent to notify the employee of the proposed termination pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. I further move that the board authorize the superintendent to notify the State Board of Educator Certification that the employee failed to perform his contract without good cause, and of the action taken by the board.
Second it. We have a motion and a second for the board to approve, we have a Trustee Adams made a motion, Trustee Durant second for the board to approve the superintendent's recommendation to terminate the contract of Kyle Francis upon finding that the employee failed to perform his contract without good cause, and authorize the superintendent to notify the employee of the proposed termination pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. And further move that the board authorize the superintendent to notify the State Board of Educator Certification that the employee failed to perform his contract without good cause, and of the action taken by the board. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion approved. Any other motions?
I move that the board approve an exception to board policy DK local as discussed in closed session.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Durant, seconded by Trustee Davis, for the board to approve an exception to the board policy DK local as discussed in closed session. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion approved. Okay, there are no other items on tonight's agenda, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Second. Trustee Durant, make a motion, and Trustee Jensen seconded. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, meeting adjourned at 9:54.